there now. I'm just trying to
Do you know what
get up
back of my
the
head,
bits and pieces.
Tommy, at the moment?
What?
Stickers on apples.
What's the point of them?
Well, obviously to tell you...
Do they have a barcode on them? No. It's not for scanning them.
They've got a hashtag. Finest. But do you know what? I think they should be edible.
Well, why do they have them on other fruit? Do they have them on kiwis? They probably do have them on kiwis as well, do they? What other fruit do you eat? Bananas, obviously.
How do you eat your kiwis, can I ask you?
Oh, scoop off the top and dig in with the spoon.
Like an egg.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm a fan of, right? If you have to have one on the go, take the top and the tail off them and then just chow down on the furry bits and all.
You go for the skin.
Eat the skin, man. Eat the skin.
Which you have to take the sticker off.
You have to take the sticker off.
Stickers. That's a good question.
Can we get on to anyone within the fruit industry to find out why haven't we made stickers edible? Because I'm just going off Jake's lunchbox at the moment. He gets an apple every day and he puts the sticker on the lunchbox. The thing is mobbed.
It's a very fair point. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll get on to Fifes for their bananas, and we'll get on to the app. Who's the app? Who does the Granny Smiths?
Yeah, who's in charge of those?
I'm here looking up Mack Hansen's band, what he got. But listen, that's the
Don't worry about
matters.
Don't worry about Mack Hansen's band. These are the real issues. Do you remember the time Alan Quinlan got in trouble when we toured New Zealand?
Would you remember? Was this because he took in fruit or took in food or something?
Yeah. Do you know the way they're really in? Remember how clean you had to have your boots going in if they weren't...
Do you remember that? Having to literally, we'd train in UL, train in Dublin or whatever else, and then all on the Friday night before travelling, you'd be out with the toothbrush
100%,
trying to scrub all the mud off the boots. I was like, what is the point of this waste of time?
Rala had sprays and everything, and not only did you take out your studs, but you actually got mud out of, you know where the stud goes, the little rivets and stuff like that. It was
that was
wild.
A bit insane, wasn't it? But then did Quinny scrubbed the boots, took the studs out, did everything, but then took in all his food?
Yeah, well, what had happened was, you know the way you pack a lunch to have in your bag, even though, to be fair, when we travelled, we were always really well looked after. We were in kind of business lounges, so there was always decent food. But you were always...
Well, you big lads, you got up to the first class because you were taller, remember? Second rows.
Magic.
Jammy.
Magic.
Anyway, go on, business wasn't bad. Business wasn't bad. Couldn't complain.
Yeah, exactly. But what happened, Quinny, that time, he had packed his lunch and there was a lovely... You know those dogs, the beagle dogs? As we landed in Auckland, there was a lovely little beagle dog, and Quinny, being Quinny, went over. He was there... How's the doggy? Rubbing this dog's ear. And this man holding the dog was like, what's going on here with this fella? But the beagle jumped up and started kind of going after his rucksack. So they were like, sorry, do you mind opening your rucksack? So Quinny basically opened up his rucksack and they were taking different things out, and they pulled out an apple. And they goes to him, typical Quinny, this is a beauty. He goes there, sorry, what's this? And Quinny was there, it's an apple. They're a fruit we have in Ireland. They were like, we know it's an apple, you jackass. What's it doing in your bag? So I think he got an on-the-spot fine of like $200. Brian O'Brien, who was the team manager at the time, had to pay $200. And the boss was waiting outside for Quinny to kind of come out.
Shut up. Because he had an apple.
Because he had an apple in his bag, yeah. And the funny thing is, I think it was a New Zealand pink lady. So this was Quinny's argument. He was there, I'm only bringing it home. It went all the way around the world and I'm bringing it back. But you know the way you do...
No better man than Quinny.
Oh, no better boy. To be fair, poor O'Brien was going bananas over it. He was like, this is not what we need. Like an incident involving customs on arrival.
And how many times are we told? Like, you're told, clean the boots. No dirty gear, no food. There's signs everywhere when you go in. If you have food, you have to declare it. Quinny's walking out with the backpack on.
It's an apple. They're a fruit we have in Ireland. It's where it was a turnip or something. Brilliant. And do you know what I loved? The punishment, you know, the way in the rugby world you do different fines and stuff like that. Obviously, he had to pay $200 to customs, which is enough in itself. But his punishment for the rest of the tour is he always had to have an apple. Like on his person, that he was always
at all times. Turn up to training, pre-match dinner, have an apple.
There you go. Why'd you drop that 2-1 in the test? I'm holding an apple. Good fun.
They're good time. You forget these stories. So good. But honestly, you forget how strict it is getting into New Zealand and Australia as well.
You forget characters, don't you? Fair play.
Did you ever used to watch those programs, Border Force Australia, and some of the things people are taking in? You're like, what are you at, man?
Absolutely.
I tell you what, the URC have taken a leaf out of Border Force at the minute with some of the bans they're going. We'll chat about it in just a minute, because we do want to talk the bans for Mack Hansen, Tom O'Toole again. We want to talk about Chris Busby, the referee. It looks like, according to Murray Kinsella, that he is set for a shock retirement from pro rugby. Wow. Which is a lot to discuss on that. There's some new rules being brought in, and of course there's some big European matches this weekend, so a lot to get through. It is brought to you by 15 Kings again, xvkings.com. Check it out online. Massive thank you to them.
Good on them.
Others, I know you've been bet into Traitors online. I have to say, it's some show, isn't it?
I love
Traitors.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're like every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we are locked in now for it. I've watched the last few seasons, and like last year was possibly the best TV I've ever seen.
Well, Ireland AM's pretty good too, but yeah
sorry, and Ireland's
same sort of drama.
Ireland AM, Ireland's Fittest Family, Dancing with the Stars. All these are great shows. No, I think.
Well, there is going to be an Irish Traitors. Have you seen
brilliant.
that? But like, and I have to say, because you've been watching it live, I can't deal. Myself and Lucy we have to watch the whole season as a block. I can't deal with the drama and not knowing but it is, in terms of reality television, it's the best out there, isn't it?
It 100% is. And you see just such brilliant sides of people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Of course, the game basically is all about deceit. So there's traitors, and then there's the faithful. And the traitors must try to get rid of the faithful. But Claudia Winkleman is incredible on it, isn't she?
Yeah, so good.
But do you know what I love as well, Tommy? They've totally got behind her in terms of, like, she's the brand. She is the face.
Totally. And it's like, what's she wearing every week? What's she, like, the drama? She's got, like, she's really serious, but she's got a bit of fun about her.
Yeah.
Well, she is the trait. Like, she is the show. She's the star of it. But it's just, I would never go on that show. Your true self would come out on that. Like, when people are accusing you of lying, and you're like, I mean, what? Like, would you lash out? I just don't know how I would deal with it.
Because We Trouble in Worcester, we used to play it. It was a game called Mafia that Bryce Heem brought into the squad. And we had to make a rule that it had to be wrapped up before the travel day. Because obviously, when you're dealing with normal people, they're rational and they'll use their words. But when you're dealing with a load of rugby clowns, physical violence is the only way. So it's kind of like, I'm faithful, boom, and you're like,
well, that's it. That's why I'd never go on it. I just don't know how I'd react. You know what I mean? Someone up in your face going, I can't trust you. It's it's great.
We found it was leaking into training a little bit. You know what I mean? There was someone that would have been kind of in the mafia or in a traitor early in the week that would have lied their whole way, and they're like, he's a rat, man. You know what I mean? And you're there like, man, he's playing the game. He's playing the game. It starts
to get really personal. I'm not passing it to him this weekend.
It is great for you. I understand that you're trying to watch it on block, but I need someone to chat with about because I actually think I love discussing it a bit like Succession. Chatting about it the next day can be the best bit.
I know, it's just when it finishes at the end of the episode, I have to wait till next week to find like, it's just the cliffhangers in this are like nothing else. But anyway, listen, for people who aren't watching it, Traitors is a hell of a show, and there is an Irish one coming out which is going to be really interesting as well.
You put it on your planner, obviously after Ireland AM and Ireland's for this family. Please give those a watch.
Right up there. Here, we have to talk about a few different things. Listen, referees have been high up on our chat list over the last couple of weeks. Mack Hansen has been given his ban, which is a huge amount of speculation. That goes back to the Leinster against Connacht match, which is 3 weeks ago, which, to be fair, I think is such a long time.
Shambles.
For this, for a hearing to be had. He has now got a 6 weeks ban reduced to 3 weeks. He has to give a full apology to Chris Busby, the referee. Connacht and him have to do an education session on respect, and there's a 10k fine. We'll go into that in a second and discuss what we think about it, because we did talk about this and whether we think Mack speaking his mind shows a personality. Do we like that? You did question that it's not in the rugby values, which this fine shows that that's the stance URC are taking on it. But Chris Busby, who is the referee that he has to apologise to, according to Murray Kinsella here, is set for a shock retirement from pro rugby.
Wow.
The Ulsterman, he is viewed as one of the top rugby prospects in international rugby, but the 42 understands he's going to step away from it. He was meant to be involved in 2 Six Nations matches. I think there's only 2 professional referees in Ireland. There's him and Andrew Brace. That'll take it down to 1. An up-and-comer. We want to see the best referees out there. He's had a pretty tough time of it. And I don't know, was this the final nail in the coffin for him, do you think?
Yeah, you look at stuff. I read an article yesterday saying that Dublin GAA are struggling to recruit people into refereeing. And you would think our point of difference, Tommy, is that we can make these referees professional. But if the juice isn't worth the squeeze in terms of... And we've seen it from chatting to the likes of kind of Wayne Barnes and Nigel Owens. People say awful things, you know what I mean? And it affects not only them, but it affects their families as well. So you can understand that side of it. I think it's probably something we need to look at. Again, you're going to probably say, but I believe the support system around referees needs to be better. I wonder, could we pay them better and then support them better within it? Like if you consider the value of the player pool on the pitch, you're in around I'm just guesstimating over 5 million of talent on the pitch. And then you've the person that is the orchestrator for making that happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mightn't be paid as well. I wonder, should we look at narrowing the pool, maybe having less referees, but it is a responsibility on the provinces to be bringing them through as well. And even look earlier in the school systems. Not everyone's going to make it as a pro, but you might be a decent video analysis referee. Is there different structures that could actually, imagine if we dipped into that unbelievable school system for the next crop of referees and educating them at a young stage.
We interviewed Michelle O'Neill, not the Sinn Féin politician, the football referee. She's the highest qualified and most experienced female referee in Ireland. She's refereed like Super Cup finals between Liverpool and Chelsea. She's refereed in the Olympics, refereed in the Women's World Cup. Like, she is top notch. She's just recently stepped away from refereeing, and speaking to her about the levels of abuse online, the toxic nature of it as well. And you're kind of saying, like, so you're talking about GAA there as well. We're talking about soccer. We know referees get an extremely hard time. The one thing that you think that always separates rugby away from other sports, and we've talked about it in a couple of different areas, is respect. And I maybe question it. And I stuck up for Mack Hansen. I kind of said, listen, we want to see more characters. We want to see him, I like seeing him airing his grievances and get frustrated, and we want to hear from the players to bring out their personalities. You forget sometimes, of course, he is speaking potentially about referees. We know, like, you think even Johnny Sexton in the Champions Cup final going up to the referee, and he had to give a big apology about that. Like, Are we losing the respect for the referees? Is being a referee in a rugby match now, because the rules are so all over the place? Like, I'm watching matches and you're replaying something 10 times. I still can't make a decision on it. How's a referee meant to make a decision on the hoof? Like, it's a poison chalice, really, you know, and for him to step away at a young age, an upcoming referee, citing the toxic nature of online, some of the online abuse that he's getting, some of his family are having to deal with this as well, and generally the growing lack of respect for match officials from coaches, players and supporters.
Yeah,
that is a big statement.
Absolutely, and I probably think that's why probably this kind of ban on Mack had to happen. We cannot have it in our game, but I think we got to look at the reverse side of it now as well, and we have to put the support structures in place for referees, that we're looking after them better. Tommy, not just saying it, but we're going into a round of Europe and they've made 4 changes to laws again. So we all learn it, and who do we get frustrated with? The people that are implementing it. I know referees will say to you, and they're dead right, we will referee the contest everyone wants, but just tell us what it is. You know what I mean? But I don't think whoever's making the decisions, be it World Rugby, be it European Rugby, the URC, the inconsistency in the laws or the constant flux state that we're changing them is leaving the people in the middle really vulnerable. And I think, like, we're seeing it now. They're saying, no, we're gone. You know what I mean? Like, whatever about giving up a hobby that you love, that's he's given up his job. He's basically saying, I'm not doing that anymore, you know, which is, it's massive. And it has to
you're totally, like, I was listening to podcasts there about these new laws and they're discussing it. Like, we're both former players. We're not that long out of the game. We watch a lot of rugby. They were then talking about other rule changes. I was going, is that in or is that out? Like, if I'm commentating now, I'm struggling to work out what is the most recent change to the laws. And you know, how is it impacted? So, like, sometimes when a decision is made and I'm doing commentary or I'm even watching it, I'm scratching my head going, I actually don't want to comment on this because I don't know what the real way is. So, as you say, for a referee to have to be on board of all that and then ref the game, you see sometimes, remember Nigel Owens having to actually educate the players on the pitch, go, no, that's actually changed.
Yeah.
And then to be criticised and abused for making some of the decisions. And listen, they get it wrong. And we have been fairly critical of it as well here.
Agreed.
And frustrated with it. But we're only wanting to see the best version of the game out there on the pitch.
But do you know what, Tommy? I think we have to be careful for looking for the perfect decision every time. It's okay for someone to make a human error. I just think with everything we're looking at, TMOs, all this kind of stuff, we're looking for it being perfect. It is okay to get a hard deal some days, you know what I mean? And for not to go your way. And that was always the feeling within rugby when I played underage. You know what I mean? It might go against you, but it all comes around in the end, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not saying that the ref kind of flip-flops in it, but I actually think what we're looking for them is to be lawyers or solicitors or barristers in boots, when we should actually be looking at them to facilitate the game. They're game facilitators. How do we make this game, one, better to play and better to watch and better to be involved in and just better experiences? So
it's a really tricky one. It's something you've been asking about an awful lot as well, is how much are these referees actually training with the provinces, training with the teams? Because I always remember in Irish camp when the referees would come in, like, they make some calls, but you'd be able to have that bit of banter, that bit of crack with them. They were able to kind of see the fun side of it, and we were able to see where it was. Like, in a game, it's the heat of the moment. It's very serious. It's kind of us against them a little bit. You're trying to push the boundaries. They're trying to stop you. You can't really have that bit of fun side of it. In training, you're able to actually get their justification for things. Like, I remember even Nigel Owens with the Ospreys used to come in and train with us all the time.
Yeah.
And he'd be like pinging you all over the place, and he'd be like laughing and joking. And there was actually a lovely bit of crack and banter over it.
100%.
Where I'd say they feel very much on their own.
Yeah.
Like segregated, like we're not involved. You know, that it's us against them. And I just think, this could be a real wake-up call, because Wayne Barnes has blown this up in the past. The abuse that he's had, his wife has had as an international referee. And I just think, maybe more needs to be done.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I go back to him, and for me, I think he was the best on the pitch, Nigel Owens, because I think he towed the line perfectly between making the right calls, but also, I know this sounds real shitty now, but the spirit of the game. I know that's a big fluffy kind of thing, but I think Nigel Owens was a rugby man deep down and understood the momentum of games and how they need to kind of be played out a little bit. I just remember one occasion I had kind of come in early on trying to break the seam in a line out, and we were running away from the line out and we were going across the pitch, and I remember he grabbed his collar that had his microphone on it, so he covered it with his hand, and he was there, come across the line out again like that and I'll do you. And I remember, like,
he took no shit.
He absolutely took no shit, but he also knew, like, that's going to spoil the game, me doing that for him. They were able to use that ball, but that's potentially something.
Yeah.
But then again, I think that's from kind of nearly knowing us a little bit. I know this sounds nuts, but there was nights out where Nigel Owens would be out with you, and he was great fun and great crack, and like, we're all sharing the pitch. We're all trying to get something out of it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I wonder, have we isolated them? Have we made them feel like they're absolutely on their own? Where, judging by this ban, and even we know it, they're the most integral part, because they show our values. How we treat them shows what we're about in rugby. And at the moment, we're behind them. We need to support them better. But I also think there's an onus on them, like you're saying, to be, you know what I mean? One, have a pathway of refereeing. I definitely, you look at all the women refs in rugby at the moment, they are super. And there's 50% of our playing population. If we were bringing through more girls into even the refereeing side of it, I think would be an avenue. But I do think, if we even broke it down to the provinces, that you have to have a pathway of referees.
Yeah, definitely. I do think that actually it should come down to the provinces. They should have a couple of referees come through the system. They might have that situation, but if we want to get, like, if we're the number one team in the world, we should be at that level in terms of referees as well. So I wonder if the pathway is there.
Tommy, what we've learned in the past as well, it genuinely doesn't matter where they're from as well. Like, we had the likes of Alan Rowland, and like, he'd ref a Munster-Leinster game, and you were delighted to get him, even though he's a Leinster man, because you knew he was a good ref. You know that way?
Yeah.
I think as well,
he'd always give Leinster the decision. So, but sure, that's every team.
That's every ref at the moment. He was ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time.
Well, what do you think about Mack though? But like, because I don't want to point this Chris Busby decision at Mack Hansen, because we don't know. He was the referee for that Connacht Leinster match. Mack, you could say, wasn't aiming it specifically at him. This could be a culmination of a load of things, but the decision has come out with Mack Hansen today about this 3-week ban. He, of course, misses the next 3 Connacht matches, but he's fine for the England match in the Six Nations, which is very convenient for Ireland. Like, I was kind of thinking, like, when I heard this, I was thinking it's no big deal. Like, he's caught up in emotion. I love to see the characters. And I thought he didn't deserve a fine or a ban at all. You didn't agree because you thought it wasn't in the values of rugby.
Exactly.
I think 3 weeks is still harsh. 10 grand fine, still quite a lot. Plus having to do a course, Connacht to do a course on respect. But whenever you're actually, and I hate the fact that it's come to a referee having to potentially lose his job to make me actually change my mind on this, and that is really it's sad on me, I think.
But maybe, honestly, not just saying that, maybe Chris Busby is jumping on a grenade here to actually waken us all up to kind of see this does have implications for people's lives. You know what I mean? This is like, he's stepping, I said it earlier on, but he's stepping away from his job. Imagine.
Well, of course, this isn't confirmed, I have to say as well.
Course,
this is
yeah.
Murray Kinsella reporting
Murray,
that
you better be right about this.
He is set for a shock retirement. So
everyone's texting Chris Busby, best of luck with the next chapter. He's there. What?
Sorry, Chris. Listen, Chris, come on the podcast.
Come on the pod.
Here, we will get him on. That's a great shout. What about, what do you think about Mack's ban, first of all?
I'll be honest, I was glad to see it happen. I was frustrated it didn't happen quicker. Like you said, we had to wait 3 weeks for it. I don't think we need 3 weeks for this at all. I think, boom, the next day it should have, and even maybe Connacht should have grabbed the nettle and said, we were disappointed with how that played up. As a result, we're going to, step Mack down for the next 3 weeks. We just can't have it in our game. And I was glad. I know, and I feel for Mack because the frustration is there on the players' part. But as I said to you, I was more disappointed by his coach that Let him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He just needed a paw there and take a breath. The one thing I think, if we don't want it to happen again, whatever about Mack losing out on time, which is kind of not good for all of us, I would up the fines. Where rugby is struggling at the moment is for money. And the only way clubs and provinces and everyone will change mindset is sting them in the pocket. So, you know what I mean? It may be, and you're right, maybe 6 weeks is a lot for Mack. But imagine if you put him down to 2 weeks and put that fine through the roof.
Give him a 50 grand fine. Tell you what, that would stop you doing it.
100%.
Let's move on to even then Tom O'Toole's ban.
Yeah.
Because he fell on the Munster Centre's Nagfeld's knee, wasn't it? He's a tight head prop. He fell awkwardly on him. You made the point at the time that if that had to be John Cooney doing the clean out, a smaller guy falling on that knee, it wouldn't have been deemed as dangerous. But because he's a bigger guy, a bit more clumsy, 6 week ban though, Dunners.
Really harsh.
That's incredibly harsh, I just think. I know they're trying to stamp it out of the game, but then you got to look at the La Rochelle player, Latu. Latu has a track record of this. He only got a 4 week ban. How is that? Where's the consistency there? What? There's no fairness there.
But there we go, Tommy. Within 2 minutes of chatting, we've gone actually full circle, and the frustration is inconsistency. And it is, you're right. I think Tom O'Toole's clear out. I don't, I've said it before, there was no intent, there was no malice. It went wrong, he got it wrong. You know what I mean? But no, it's got implications for him nationally. It just...
he'll miss the first 2 weeks of international rugby, and that could, of the Six Nations, that could really... 100%. Hamper Ireland.
You know the crack. Yeah. You miss that first camp, you're struggling unless there's injuries and stuff like that.
Totally.
And look, I do think maybe we've the focus in the wrong areas and stuff like that, and just that one's
it's a tricky one. You can see, this is why you wouldn't want to be a referee, because we're trying to be sound and kind of give our opinion and be respectful to the decision makers and the lawmakers, but there we are just going, where's the consistency? You can see the frustration here. You can see how referees just find this an impossible task, but I just think 6 weeks for that
yeah, same here. But there you go, Tommy. I suppose we look at how can we make it better, and they are trying to clamp down on this kind of what would have been kind of a croc roll or targeting the knee. Tommy, if you go back, all 4 of the breakdowns we used to practice under a net. So I remember. But all 4 of them are red cards now.
Yeah, remember that. So to explain this, we used to have to line up beside. It was a net, maybe 5 meter. No, sorry, about a meter and a half above the ground, and we used to have to stand at each corner. And at each corner there was a tackle bag or somebody with a tackle pad. We used to have the boxing headgear on. Remember that? Because so many people are getting split open in training. So we'd have the boxing headgear on. You'd have a tackle suit on, and you used to have to run underneath the net and literally just clobber each other in the mud for half an hour. And it was the croc roll, twist them over. It was attacking the knee, trying to get them off the ball.
Do you remember the tin opener? Or strings? Do you remember strings? One was on your head. He just grabbed your... And honestly, as soon as he grabbed your head, you throw up your arm.
You're letting go.
100% you are. look, I get frustrated because I see these new laws that we're bringing in for this week, and I just really worry that we're not looking at the big problems. See, this is all, you know what I mean? Yeah, like there's one, right?
But they can't change the breakdown mid-season, Dunners.
But,
Like if you're saying the big decisions, some big calls, like breakdown is a massive one. They couldn't just change that on the January the 1st.
yeah, but don't change anything then. You know what I mean? Do we need these 4 new rules?
Well, let me take you through the 4 of them, right? So number 1 is a 60-second conversion to limit for penalties. So literally it's the same as penalties now. You have 60 seconds to take your conversion.
And do you know what's good as well? It'll hurry fellas like you up instead of try celebrations. You give the ball to the 10.
You have to give the big one to the crowd, do you
no,
not?
you don't.
Exactly.
Give the ball, knock it over, let's play on.
You have a new time limit for the line out as well, which is going to be 30 seconds. That's meant to equal scrums. That never scrums set
Forget
in 30
about it.
seconds.
That won't be dealt with.
Play on rule with an uncontested line out if the throw is not straight.
Really.
I will get you on that one. And then the 4th one is scrum half protection during scrums, rucks and mauls. Let the scrum half do what they want. Let's get to the first one, right? We've no real question mark over this. Quicker conversions, quicker penalties. What does wreck my head at the Aviva Stadium, they put a 60-second timer up instead of showing the replays. Show 30 seconds or 40 seconds of replays and then put the timer up with 20 seconds to go. Because I was there watching this going, I just want to see what happened. And you got this 1 minute timer counting down for ages. But listen, I think conversions, penalties, happy to see that. The new set time to form a line out, 30 seconds, along with the scrum.
Do you remember when Leinster's line-out went to pot a few weeks ago? Nienaberg said they were working on that. So they were trying to probably... Yeah, and look, I like the sound of it. You always had line-outs anyway, Tommy. Like, if you were retreating behind you, you would have maybe 2 calls set that you could actually run back and be gone straight away. Or, you know what I mean, you'd link a few. So I think it'll just put in extra time. But
Speeds up the game. Speeds up the game.
And we're all in favour of it. The only thing is, though, all we're going to see here is a few free kicks or a few penalties for it. It'll be nitpicking, it'll be box ticking, and forget about it. They won't do it.
Very difficult for the referee to police as well. Like, is he going to set his clock for 30 seconds? You know, how is he going to do that? And this is something you Munster lads used to do all the time, to slow down. You know, we're standing there waiting in the line out and they just walk in slowly. And to say that the scrum is set in 30 seconds is completely ridiculous. Anybody watch...
Tommy?
Well, anybody who watched that Ulster Connacht game, I mean, I actually was screaming at the television. Like, the second rows weren't even getting onto their knees. The referee, poor Andrew Brace, was saying, listen, lads, I'll be here all night. I was like, you don't have time to be here all night. Yeah. But neither team were in any rush to do. We need to speed up the scrum, speed up the line.
I don't think we need to... I actually think we need to go the other way. I actually think... No, hold on a second. Within the competition, Tommy, that is the equivalent of a heavyweight boxing fight. You're going to get 12 probably scrums in the match and let them go at it. But police it better. Like, up the refereeing of it, that we're not going to see guys down on their elbow, guys using their hands. It is...
Do you watch Anthony Joshua fight? Do you watch the Fury Usyk fight there? That is boring. Unless they land one big punch. It's boring. Like, a heavyweight boxing match is exactly what scrummaging is.
Scrummaging is beautiful. If you get an attacking loose head or a tight head that can absolutely... Your man Julian White that used to play with Leicester.
What, back in the 90s, Julian White?
Carl Heyman, man. These masters of the craft. Like...
What, at pushing with their head down?
Tommy, you try to put like 500 kgs through your spine and keep an angle. When it's done right, it is magic. And it's the differentiator in our sport. So we should.
Well, if you watched it back in the 80s and 90s, there was none of this crutch like bind, take forever to find the right hole that you're going into. Yeah, it was just like head down, boosh, 100%. back forward, ball game out. Yeah. That's what I want to see again. Yeah. Exactly. None of this coordinated, like, ready, steady, go. Do you mean, like, and you do this whole, what's this, like, 1, 2, 3, squeeze.
Hit
like,
2, 3, 4, squeeze 2, 3, 4.
Hit 2, 3, 4. Give me a break. Get the ball out. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Do you know what I'm in favour of? Maybe we go back to the 80s where it was the nearest 8 fellas, so you could have had Ralph Keys.
Get me in.
Nearest 8, just flog in.
I love watching the clips of that. They're literally all just locking up. Whoosh.
2 of these are wrecking my head. One,
line-outs.
The line-out one. So basically, if I'm not contesting for your ball, you can throw it in crooked. That, for me, Tommy, is the equivalent of a barber saying, it's okay, I can actually make a dog's dinner of the back of your hair. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to see it, and it doesn't really matter.
He doesn't hold the mirror up.
100%. If your craft is to throw the ball in straight, boom. Like, that's your job.
My 2 things on this, right? So one, if you're not competing to go up for the ball, it doesn't matter. If I win the ball, like, it used to annoy me then that they'd have to stop it and go back. I was like, no, play on. But the other thing with this, Dunners, is it will mean more teams will have to go up in the air and contest it. And the game, as we talked about before, it's about contesting. It's about competing for the ball. It wrecks my head when I see teams just sacrifice the line out and not even bother. Just stay on the ground to get set up for a maul or to go and join the defensive line. Get up in the air, contest, make it a competition.
But I'll tell you, there is zones on the pitch where that won't matter. So if you're trying to fill the field and get the defensive, leaving them have the ball is probably the easiest one to go for. You know what I mean? So you could probably set up for the next few phases. Then the ones that you're not.
That's so negative.
No, but that's the game.
Set up the defensive line instead of setting up a line out, which you're telling me is so important.
Yeah, but hold on. You put up 2 pods there, right? You're taking 6 players out of the game. And you take 6 players out of the game.
Space. That's what we want to see.
Hold on. You play Northampton, who are lethal off launch, and you take 6 players out of the game. Forget about it. But they're not going to do it. You know what I mean? So what we're going to see is all these crooked throws. This is the start of what next? So if you're on the 2-on-1, okay, or say a 3-on-1, you can actually throw the last pass forward because you know what I mean. I just think
you can't. The game, like, if you're going to be a negative in your defense in your play, well then let the team go and attack off the line out and try and take you on.
Yeah, but they're not.
Like, if you're going to set up a defensive line instead of actually competing at the line out.
Yeah. I think the wish is that everyone will start contesting line outs now. I can tell you right now, they won't. They won't in certain areas. They will on more of them. Or you'd probably try to pressure a younger hooker. But like what we're probably going to end up with now is telling hookers, like you might end up with a back row, a type player playing hooker, because if they don't go up in it, it's okay to throw crooked. Like, look at the likes of Jamie George,
but
the Jerry
that's a bit of a risk. Teams aren't going to be able to risk because you don't know if they're going to put someone up or not.
The fact
and
is
again, this makes it so difficult for a referee to judge. Like, what's classed as contested? Is a single man lift? Is that like a contest? Uncontested or not? Do you know what I mean? This where the dubious, like if you're standing at 2 and you just jump really high in the air, does that mean you're contesting? Do you mean, like, what? Where do we draw? Like, for a referee, how are they going to do this?
But do you know what we're doing? We're taking away the craft. We're taking away the art. Like, it's the equivalent to saying to Luke Littler, if you hit triple 20 on 2, we give it to you on the last one if you hit 1. You know what I mean?
Because you're taking away the craft by not contesting in a line out.
No, yeah, that's our decision. But
it's not the craft is a line out. You contest in it.
No, hold on. So you're telling me William Tell, right? When he was shooting the apple off his head, he was there. Listen, if
you took the sticker off.
Listen, William, if you hit the uncle in the forehead, it's grand. You know what I mean? But if someone goes to jump in front of it, there, William, you have to take it back. That is ridiculous.
The original game, the line out was contested. If you don't want to contest it anymore, well then deal with a crooked line out.
Yeah, but then actually, why not? But you're going back to the other ones. Say you have to contest in the air. Like, wouldn't that be a better rule?
Yeah, you have to contest in the air.
But you don't have to contest in the air, is the point.
Oh, said that you have to.
Make that the new rule. Instead of rewarding, honestly, own skill stuff. And the other one, sorry, I just need to say it. Have nines become an endangered species?
Well,
you know
this is the fourth rule.
Oh, don't touch the nines. Oh, the lovely little nines. You can't put a hand on the nine. There is no joy left for a front five forward than grabbing a nine. Genuine.
I thought it's scrummaging. You're just telling me.
After scrummaging, it's ragdolling a nine is the only thing in. Plus, if you do catch a nine and you're able to hold on to them for a little bit of time, it puts a skill execution on someone else to make that pass. So I'm just picking. We used to always go after Mike Phillips.
Of course it did. Everyone wanted to get their hands on their scrum half.
Yeah.
But freeing up the likes of DuPont, Gibson Park, Craig Casey, sniping nines, give them more time, clear the ball away from a ruck, scrum, maul faster, even off a scrum. There's no point in attacking off a scrum anymore because they're bloody being clobbered. The 9 is climbing over the number 8. So now the 9 has to stay on his side or else go back and join defensive line. We get to see actual attack off the back of a scrum. Play on. Let's see some rugby.
Do you know what? Look, if we bring in this one, I think we should actually put one stipulation on it, that they actually have to wear a shirt and a tie and a jacket. Because, honestly, all they're doing out there then is basically organising. You know what I mean?
No, they're going to be tearing it up. They're the dangerous player, the danger men on the pitch. Danger women. They're flipping. The 9 is going to be the position you want to be because you got lots of time and space.
Yeah, but you're the only one. Why are we making them different to everyone else? It's like
because they're the bit that you're trying to slow down. You forwards are trying to slow down. Get your hands on them, ragdoll. Play on.
That's the beauty of it, Tommy. Everyone is the same. You know what I mean? Why can't we go after a 9? I actually think. Honestly, it's when training, when someone has a bib on that you're not allowed to touch.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent to that.
Well, it kind of is that, yeah. They're not allowed to touch the 9. What about Ferris? Remember Ferris got Will Genia? He put up, he just reposted it the other day. Of course he did. Here, do you remember this? Will Genia @tag. But that was in the World Cup. And Genia, I think, was trying to get the ball away. I think Redzer stopped him and Fez just picked him up, drove him back 10 yards. That was class. Isn't it? So that's gone, thankfully.
That's gone.
Yeah,
you're not going to have a moment like that ever again. And the funny thing about that one, honestly, is I think Fez he ran him probably 15 metres, did he?
Oh, he did, yeah. He was still charging, yeah.
He would have got him 50 if Redzer and Paulie didn't tackle him. Did you see the two lads are rivals? They're basically nearly feeling sorry for Kenya. They're like, oh, geez, hit the ground, fella.
This is the same game I got caught by James O'Connor in the corner, so we won't talk about people not making it as far as they could have gone. I was just running down the clock. That was my plan. Tore my calf, actually, in that run.
We're going to get in trouble if we don't talk about rugby. Can we chat some bit about rugby?
Right, okay. Matches this weekend. Right, let's start off. Munster against Saracens.
That's Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, Saturday at 5:30. We've got Ulster against Leicester Tigers. That's at 8 o'clock on Saturday. You've Connacht against Leon in the Challenge Cup, 8 o'clock on Saturday. And Sunday, 3:15, Leinster La Rochelle. Oh, that's going to be a cracker. Let's start off Munster Saracens.
Yeah.
I have loads to talk about here with this as well. I don't know if you watched Rory O'Connor's, read his article in the Indo this week. It's 10 weeks since Roundtree has gone. Munster are sitting 11th in the URC. This is a bit of a must win, I think, for Munster, because if they don't win the next 2 weeks, they'll get through to the next stages probably. They're going to be away from home though. What's going on in Munster rugby at the minute? Because we have no idea who's going to be coach. There's some strange decisions about team selections. They're missing an awful lot of players through injury. If I was a supporter right now, I would like a bit of clarity.
Yeah, no doubting. But I don't know about that side of it, but I do agree with you. I think there's pivotal matches, not only within your season, but within your kind of makeup of as a club. And this is one of them for Munster, I feel. This is, like we would have said, it's special days where you need to go beyond yourself a little bit. This one will have repercussions for Munster if you know what I mean. It's a must-win game. It's everything you ever want in Europe. An English team 5:30 on a Friday. Oh my goodness, you know what I mean. That with caliber.
Do you think Thomond Park has the same factor anymore?
Yeah, 100%.
But I don't even think the Munster match was sold out for the European match earlier in the season.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It was still
the Stade Francais game.
It was
for
still
the
an
crowd,
incredible atmosphere, Tommy. It really was.
But the crowd, the Munster supporters, you can see why they'd feel a little bit aggrieved at the minute. Because they don't know. Like, we're loyal supporters here. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. What happened to Graham Roundtree, we don't know. Wonderful coach.
But Munster don't
who's
need
going to replace him? Why not give Prendergast the role?
Yeah, and they might. You know what I mean? But I don't think that is of anyone else's business, bar that group in that environment at the moment. People are getting frustrated because they're not getting enough information out of Munster. You can't have it both sides. You know what I mean? When you don't, it's all one-way traffic. I feel when it comes to it, there's negative media about Munster all the time, and here, like you're saying,
I think it's justified at the minute.
Well, no, why is it justified? Like, Tommy, you look, if Munster had beaten Zebra, which they feckin' should have, you know what I mean? That is the ultimate frustrating game. You go up there to whatever in the league. Like, look at 5-pointers there, what that does to you. Of course, Cast was disappointing, but it hasn't been as bad as people or as blue media are making it out to be, of course. You know what I mean?
You're 11th in the league.
Which 100% isn't good enough for Munster. I'm not trying to deflect from it, but my point is, Munster are answerable to no one when it comes to information. The only information that matters.
If you're wanting supporters to fork out money to go watch the matches, surely they deserve to have an idea what's going on.
I agree,
it's like every province. It's like, I don't mean Munster particularly here. It's the same with Ulster. You know what happened with Dan McFarland last year. But you want a decision to be like, if they're seriously considering Mike Prendergast to get the job as a head coach, he's expressed an interest in it. Like, the longer they leave it without giving it to him, the more it takes away his credibility.
I can tell you right now, within the system, they know that. You know what I mean? And the Munster supporters know they know it too. Like, Munster know what they're at. They have an idea what they're at, but they don't need to play it out. You know what I mean? They don't need.
Are you not a bit frustrated? Do you not want to know?
No, I don't. Honestly, all I want is to see the best performance I have seen from this Munster team since probably the Blues, the Bulls away. That's what I want this Saturday. I want them to go out and let fly. And I want them to reflect me. I want to sit down with my family and be able to watch it and just be unbelievably proud that is me out in that pitch. That's a representation of me that goes out there. That's all I want. And that's, honestly, Tommy, I can tell you, that's what every Munster supporter wants. And you spoke about the Stade game. The atmosphere was incredible. It mightn't have been sold out, but it is always full of a group that care.
It's the same with me at Ulster. Listen, we're not maybe selling out the stadiums at the minute. You know that the loyal supporters are there. They come with so much vigour and excitement, and they're there through thick and thin. But I just sometimes just when I read that with Rory and him saying 10 weeks, we don't really know where Munster are. But listen, they're up against Saracens.
Tell them nothing, Munster. Head down. Let's keep backs to the wall because they don't
tell
care.
The Munster
you know what
supporters nothing.
No, hey, hold on. The Munster supporters don't read blue media. You know what I mean? Like,
of course they do.
No,
of course
they
do.
Tommy.
Everybody wants to know this. It's not just blue media.
But people don't need to know it all the time. You'll know when it's time to know. We will know when it's time.
Okay. Well, maybe. I don't know. I just think that maybe the CEO or something could come out and give a bit more of what's going on behind the scenes. What are they looking at? But anyway, listen, let's move on. They've got Saracens this weekend. You're expecting a cracker of a match. Saracens beat Bristol, though, last weekend. 35-26. Sarries are now third in the league.
Can we give a tip of hat to him, to be fair? You know what I mean? Love him or hate him, of course. You know what I mean? He's an English hooker, so we'd always try to get under his skin. But 300 appearances for Saracens. Whoa,
is
that's
he?
a feat.
Holy crap,
last week. That was quite
Jesus.
incredible.
Fair play to him.
And their number 8, Tom Wilson, like,
Yeah,
got to
Willis
be
was there, Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, geez, what a player he is. So, look, Saracens as well have calibre. You know what I mean? Europe matters to them, so it's going to be a hell of a game. I can't wait as well, though. Ulster, Leicester over there. We probably didn't speak as much about Ulster's performance against Connacht, but geez, Tommy, it was brilliant, man.
Brilliant performance. Unbelievable performance. A couple of things with that. I think get Nick Timoney signed on this week. They've made a couple of signings like that. I think Nick Timoney in that match against Connacht, like, there's a real spring in Ulster step after that, particularly given the likes of the Munster match, to lose in that game, going down to 14 men, like, they've been in games up to 60 minutes. And just, hasn't worked for them. McNabney, the number 8, was fantastic in that game as well. Nathan Doak is one to watch out potentially for Six Nations, with the likes of Casey getting injured. I wonder if Simon Easterby be given around a chance. But Leicester Tigers, like, it's going to be a tough one away from home against Leicester. Like, listen, I'm kind of, we want to do well in Europe. Of course we do. I'm more concentrate on the URC.
Yeah. But
like,
why,
I know you hate that.
No,
I just think
that's
Ulster
fine for you.
need to get
Ulster
themselves.
Mentality.
Huh?
I'm not surprised.
Listen, Munster are not going to win the European Cup, so let's not kid yourself.
Tommy. We're going to try.
Well, yeah, okay, maybe.
The thing about it is, though, like we said, there is going to be frustrations with Ulster, and there might be lessons on Saturday, but going to Welford Road and picking up, like, I know everyone was really tough on him over the Toulouse performance, but you can see you need those moments when you're that young as a squad, and I think Richie's doing a good job. It's very, very young. He's backing all these kids. We said it before, keep going, keep giving them time. Here is another.
Ulster went Leinster, Toulouse, Bordeaux, 3 matches in a row, then Munster, then Connacht. Like, that is a tough round of fixtures.
Saturday's going to be tough as well, but they're going to learn so much.
And I actually think they could do a job on Leicester. I don't think Leicester, the team they have been the last couple of years,
is quite incredible.
A little bit older.
Isn't he?
It's class act, yeah. And to be fair, no better man forget. And Welford Road is a tough place to go as well. I used to love playing Welford Road. Look, the tiny. Do they still have the tiny change rooms?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I love that you loved it. You know what I mean? That's typical you. That was a nightmare of a place to go.
Oh, but I think we done all right against them. I would have played against them quite a few times with the Ospreys. I think we beat them. So up against Geordie Murphy was always nice, and Johnny Murphy was over there at the time as well.
Of course, yeah. And then
Leinster, La Rochelle.
Rodshell, yeah. It's a big one. La Rochelle, Toulouse last weekend. I know everyone was kind of going on about a much changed Toulouse team, and they kind of, found a way to get it done. But Leinster, week off, everyone's kind of interested in the selection. It'll be quite interesting, because I think it'll probably have,
is Geordie Barrett going to play 12? So will Ringrose and Henshaw, whether going to, if you're Simon Easterby going into the Six Nations in Leinster, La Rochelle, you want all your starting Irish players starting. Same and second row as well. Does Snyman play second row, or do you have James Ryan, Joe McCarthy there? Do you have Ryan Baird there? It's a great position for Nienaber to be in. My big question, though, is they're playing such negative rugby in terms of their defence is fantastic. Lancaster and Mike Catt used to sing off the same hymn sheet. Whenever they left Leinster camp, went into Ireland camp, they were playing the same rugby. It was fantastic. Nienaber's style of rugby is so different to the rugby that Ireland play. I don't know, the synergy there, it's going to be very difficult. But
they're quite winning rugby, though, isn't it?
It is.
That's what we've seen
very
over the
South
last
African
while.
Rugby. Unbelievable defence. Don't give me the ball. Don't want it.
But maybe that's what we've lost when it comes to quarterfinals. Maybe this is good learnings for everyone. You know what I mean? That the further you go on, you tighten up your game. I'll be honest with you. I feel this is a weekend for Leinster to finally make a statement. You look at La Rochelle last week, where they are in the league at the moment. I think we haven't seen Leinster absolutely rip the house down and say we're gunning for Europe.
Bar Munster.
Yeah, but that was up in Croke Park.
In Thomond.
No,
2 weeks ago, you forgot that, have you?
There wasn't enough in that match for me. This one, to be fair,
No, you're right. You're right. This is a statement game.
This
could be huge for them. Yeah.
Do you know what? Everyone in Europe is watching.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching them now. Quality opposition, you know what I mean? That are kind of, to be fair, they're on a knee. La Rochelle at the moment, where they are league position, and last week kind of finding a way to get over the line. But this is a pivotal one that Leinster need to make a statement here.
If they don't, what happens? Like, are you concerned about them?
No, I'm not concerned about it, but I think everyone.
If they don't win, sorry, Dunners, because I do want to say, like, because them and La Rochelle are in the same group, they'll probably have to have an away from home fixture in the knockout stages, which will have a massive impact.
No,
in the latter stage, they're used to kind of being home the whole way, you know, where they lose now.
It's unthinkable to think they'd lose with that squad, isn't it? Genuinely, it is. That squad losing to La Rochelle this weekend is kind of unthinkable, isn't it? I actually think.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think so. I think Raj, La Rochelle, they're missing Skelton, they're missing Donncha, but this is an experienced squad who can, you know, at home.
Look at it.
I don't know if Leinster.
La Rochelle they played, you know what I mean, the double champions last weekend. I know everyone will say they mix up their squad, but that's what those power clubs and provinces have. You know what I mean? They went to the well last week as well. It's hard to do it. I see. Like, if you didn't see we need to see a Leinster procession this weekend. We need Leinster to roar and say, yeah, we're European contenders. We're double contenders this weekend. Because everyone else will look in, I'm telling you, and kind of go, you know.
Does it make you worry about Six Nations if they were to lose even?
Not as much,
because this is the majority of the Irish team.
Possibly, yeah. The only thing is kind of injuries and stuff like that. Look, two of us know better than anyone. It's a massive step up internationally. You can make a few mistakes in Europe. You make those in international rugby, it's over, isn't it?
Okay, very good. So what do you like? Okay, so you reckon Leinster can go over there and do a job? Wow, I'd say Raj is licking his lips for that one.
I don't think do a job. I think they're going over there to bop them.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
Fair play. Connacht, of course, are playing Leon. That's going to be quite interesting because the two of them are kind of top in that Challenge Cup League as well. Connacht 2 from 2, Leon 2 from 2. Big win, big game for them. I think there's been a lot of question marks around Connacht, Pete Wilkins with Mack Hansen, all this sort of stuff at the minute. They were very, very disappointed against Connacht. I'd say whenever Mack Hansen alerted it to the referees not giving us breaks, they played at home and they didn't step up. I just thought that they were they would be really disappointed.
Can I put it on their forwards there? When you're back and your teammate does something like that for you, Mack, who bared his soul, takes a rap on the knuckles. You know it's coming next week. You know Ulster are chatting about it all week. You gotta bring it. And that Connacht pack were awful, absolutely awful, and I actually think they didn't reflect their teammate there at all in how much they cared about his words. They needed to come and bring it to Ulster. So
interesting. Listen, we've gone through a lot there today. This is as long a podcast we've done. Donncha, we actually talked a bit about rugby for a change.
Can we go back to the apples?
I know, exactly. Tell us your story. Why is there an Apple barcode on there? Absolute advertising, of course.
Come on,
and why is it not edible? An edible sticker would make so much more sense. Make the sticker
edible, please. If that's the takeaway from today, fair enough.
I want to talk about Big Dev and James Lowe starting a brewery as well. But anyway, we'll talk about business players in the future.
Are they doing cider?
No apples left. Quinny has them all. Listen, thanks everybody for tuning in again. Really big weekend in the rugby. Looking forward to it. And of course, with Chris Busby, if he is stepping away from it, we wish him all the very best going forward as well. Good Ulster, man. Good on you. Just don't listen to Donncha O'Callaghan. Of course, 15 Kings has brought you this podcast. Keep supporting there too. Dunners, catch up next week.
Good on you, Tommy. Fair play, fella.